Welcome to Life on Maui. I'm your host, Steven Freid, and we are coming to you live from the Temple of Peace and Haiku. It's a beautiful, beautiful surrounding, and I just got finished doing a session with this absolutely gorgeous woman here, Mahalia Michaels, and she does a very highly refined form of body, mind, spirit work that I just partook of. This is the first time in 6-7 years I've ever had a session and immediately done a show live from premises. So it's new for me too. It's very juicy, and I'm going to use this little mic kind of as a handheld mic, so that's why you'll see me going back and forth with it. So welcome to the show, Mahalia.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much, and it was really special to work with you and help your body to transform. Very special.
So why was it special?
I'm passionate to assist people to clear any past trauma that may be locked in a vibrational coherence between, say, your sexual center, your heart, and your brain, the acoustics in your brain. And somehow with this work, I link it all together, and it helps bring your body into more luminous light and energy. The cells in your body activate. The DNA, I think, gets more life force in it, and really, it shifts you into a higher state of being and feeling, where you actually really feel the way you're supposed to feel. That's how I see it. It's not taking you to another plane necessarily. It's just, wow, this is your inner technology. The human body is so amazing. It's just incredibly rich with opiates for peace and bliss and ecstasy. So when I'm working on someone, I tap into those things, and I work to help just lighten anything from the past, and I use a form of compression and work into the bone and the memory in the bone and memory in the bone marrow even. It's an interesting experience, and I've seen people, pain just washes away. If they've had a chronic cough, even, it just is gone the next day. Feeling just lighter and freer in their body and in their emotional body, and ability to feel more intimately inside of themselves. So that's one of the better ways to describe it.
Yeah. Well, you know, that was very much my experience as you kind of worked your way around the body. You know, starting on the back, and you work a lot around the sacrum area, and I really palpably felt some shifting of old kind of held energy around sexuality, and then you moved up around the heart region, and I could feel like, just to get real personal about this, I was bullied a lot, and you were too. And when I'll speak for myself, when I'm bullied, I'm a tall man, and I was a tall, skinny boy, and the tendency when somebody feels bullied is to go over like this, both to become smaller and to protect the heart. And when I said to you that I was bullied, I felt so much compassion come out of you in that moment. So why don't you talk about your experience of what that is for you and why that's such a major point.
Thank you, Steve. Any vibration can land on our body, and words from people, if they are bullying us and putting us down, and or putting our sexual potency down, these frequencies or vibrations, I feel, and what I've witnessed since recovering my own, doing my own inner deep work to recover, is that it seems to land on those areas in the sacrum, connected with the tailbone, on the heart, around the rib cage, and in the brain. So a human begins to shrink because they don't feel good enough. They don't allow themselves to be. They don't know what it means to really feel love inside and self-regulating. We start to search for love outside of ourselves, which I did for most of my life, because I never felt good enough inside. It's been quite a journey. And
do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I just turned 41.
41, okay. Gorgeous woman.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and when it comes to bullying, there's what I found is there seems to be a link with how it affects the brain and the brain waves and the neural pathways. So a person can set up the default for not experiencing bliss because they don't allow more dopamine in their prefrontal cortex, the feel-good hormone, the oxytocin, and serotonin, that's our happy hormone, and it affects everything, our hormonal bodies, and how we react and respond to people, and bond or not bond, and build relationships, and have trust. So I'm passionate about helping people clear that out of their brain waves, brain patterns as well, and seeing that they grow to be more, then they can have that inner confidence again. And that is very special because I am passionate about Mother Earth and helping humanity to feel this deep inner self-regulation, this deep inner love, rather than searching outside of ourselves for it. It's inside.
This is really an enormous thing. I'm finding personally, again, in my life right now, that's so on the front burner. So on the front burner. Because especially in relationship, it's so easy to put it out to the other person, to have it be them fulfilling or not fulfilling your needs, and then what that brings up when they're not fulfilling your need for love. And I feel so passionately now, more than ever, on that path of wanting to come fully into that. So, this session with you was all part of that. So that's a wonderful thing.
Can I?
Oh, elaborate. Keep going.
So, because I noticed in my life, so I write about in my book about the journey in recovery from sexual abuse, bullying, and head injury or concussion, and how I was shut down up till just a couple years ago. And what I found was I attracted relationships or men that were oftentimes bullies or might have been into substances even because they weren't loving themselves. But the love of who I was always there. Just I hadn't cultivated my inner strength and potency. And when I finally started to see, okay, this relationship outside me isn't working, what is it about me? Just keep going inside and taking responsibility. I started to map my brain. And I could see a difference in the left hemisphere as far as the divine feminine goes and the right hemisphere as far as the divine masculine goes. And in my brain, they weren't connecting. So I worked and cultivated inside of my brain even to bring those two hemispheres together. So as I've done that, my relationships have shifted as well. The wholeness then comes inside. So I talk a lot about the pineal gland in my book. I'm just clearing that up because that becomes our projector or the movie that we put out into the world, what's going on inside of our mind. How we clear that, we then can attract the love, but it's no longer codependent, it's interdependent. We're self-regulating as this whole being of love, and we attract then that self-regulating whole being of love. And it's so healthy, it's nutritious. I feel that is what the great Mother Earth wants for all people to experience, that feeling inside that is electric and it's luminous, and so it's an inside job, and I call it an inner marriage. When we unite inside the divine feminine and the divine masculine inside, it's so special and sacred. Yeah.
That's the real marriage. That's the real deal. That's the real deal. So I'm gonna take it up another notch because I know another thing that is really a big part of what is in your book. The book, by the way, is Turning Up the Alchemical Heat. Okay? That's what it's called. Turning Up the Alchemical Heat, a play guide to fulfilling an outrageously sexy, rich, and radiant life based on a true story by Mahalia Michaels. Oh, and by the way, while we're talking, what's your website?
It's MahaliaMichaels.com.
MahaliaMichaels.com,
Yes.
and that's MahaliaMichaels. MahaliaMichaels.com, and you can read more about it on there. But some juicy stuff that we've been talking about has a lot to do with sexuality. Everybody's favorite subject. And some of the really juicy stuff, literally juicy stuff, that you're talking about that has to do with female ejaculation.
Yes.
So I think everybody, both male, female, myself included, are very interested to hear about that, because many of us haven't experienced that on either end. So speak about that, and there's something that you say that actually that's like a healing potion of kinds that is meant to be for this planet, and you teach how to access that. So please speak to that juicy subject.
Where to begin on that one? I am passionate to help people understand the sacred water that I've interviewed many, mostly women and men, and women of all ages had not heard of it. And female ejaculation was revered centuries ago as a sacred water known as the elixir of immortality. And another name for it is Amrita. That's an Indian name. So in Western culture we call it female ejaculation, and it goes with orgasm or without orgasm. It's a sacred water that some people have referred to it as it could have been a urination or a response like that, where say a young couple, a woman ejaculates and the man thinks she had an accident on him, she will shut that down actually. And so based on statistics, 4 out of 5 women have been sexually abused. So rage 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5 women have been sexually abused.
Based on statistics online, yes.
Wow.
And it can come in different forms. So what happens is where a woman would originally be able to ejaculate from gets layered with rage, anger, confusion, low self-worth, and which is what I had. So I thought that I was okay sexually, but I don't remember ever really being educated properly. It wasn't taught in schools. I had to figure it out on my own. So it's only been in the last few years of really understanding the depth of this sacred water. And as women start to embody and embrace their gift as an alchemist to milk this beautiful, potent elixir from what I call the womb of creation, actually, is one of the most precious gifts they can do for themselves and their partner, along with, of course, the genius of creating a life, a baby. So in some books, and there's amazing teachers out there who were the pioneers in writing about female ejaculation, because even doctors don't know about it. So it's been a trial and error learning for women to get to this point. It's wonderful even to give birth in ejaculate water. So there's many ways to explain how a woman can access this. And what I love about my book is it really helps couples to understand how the female needs to be nurtured, because actually women have as much erectile network, if not more, as men do, only ours is on the inside. So it needs to have this gentle, loving, adoring communication. And this, I see it as the more men, come into their tenderness, their softness, their sensitivity, their vulnerability, and as they allow their tears to flow, which to me, men's tears is the same energy as women's ejaculate fluid or amrita.
Really? Is that
Yeah.
so? Well, good for me, because I have been accessing that a lot lately.
Okay.
So, boy, all right.
So you can...
And I want you to continue, but what does a man have to do with that? In other words, do you drink it? What is it?
You can. It's like a sweet coconut water. And it is not urine. It doesn't come from the bladder. Modern science has said that female ejaculate comes from the G-spot or female prostate, and it holds up to 2 ounces at one time. So a little bit can come out at one time and known as the first or second water. And when a woman is tapped into in a much deeper way, the third water can flow right from her uterus based on the stimulation of the cervix connected with the clitoris and the. This is pretty wild information.
It's good. Hey, are you all enjoying this? I am.
So, yeah, what women I feel require is this deep adoration, first of all, and this. If we look at women as being so the part and tissue of Mother Earth, the more that women, really just surrender and honor her and her heart and her expansive mystery and her potency, and commune with her female anatomy, commune with her sexual center and her sexual potency, and compliment it, love it, adore it, be respectful of it, and then from there's steps to take to stimulate the waters to flow easier. Do you want me to tell you that right now?
Absolutely. I don't think you should. I don't think I would let you get away with not saying what it is.
Okay, so it's in the G-spot, in the vagina. If a man puts 1 or 2 fingers in and he goes about 1 inch to 2 inches, he'll feel the G-spot, which feels like a little lump there, or bump. So that is part of the urethral sponge that's wrapped around the urethra. So as the person does a come hither motion, what happens is it's like little grapes that have been emptied, but they start to engorge. So those grapes fill up with the juice, and as a woman may have that feeling that she has to urinate, but generally if she's urinated before intimacy and intercourse, it's not urine, but it might feel like it because it does come from the urethra with the first and second waters. So it can happen with or without an orgasm.
So it does come from the urethra with the first and second waters. So it comes through that channel even though it's not from the bladder.
That's right. Huh. And so that's why I feel women are amazing alchemists, and we can say, and they've written, Sherry Winston has written the Women's Anatomy of Arousal, an incredible book I highly recommend for men and women to understand the deeper inner workings of female anatomy. So as that engorges and the water comes out, it will just keep refilling and more can come out. But in the with the third water, 1 liter to 2 liters can come out at one time. And what
should put down some plastic sheets.
You're gonna want to just be prepared for that. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of water.
It is. It is, and it's
1 to 2 liters.
Yeah.
That's a lot of water.
I know. See, and what I love about Amrita and this ability, is I feel the more women access this, the happier Mother Earth will be, the happier the planet will be, the happier men will be as well, understanding this potency and this elixir that was revered in India, in China, in Egypt, in Africa. It's not a new thing. It's very ancient and it's very sacred, and it's the passion of I think the ultimate in human sexuality. It's just this amazing gift for a couple to experience.
One thing I want to ask you is, you're making a point to say that for a woman, it's very much linked with tenderness, love, so forth. Mm-hmm. But isn't it also, you can find it in porno movies? I know some spotty experiences, pun intended, with men, and it wasn't necessary. So I'm wondering what the difference is. I mean, it could just have to do with a basic difference between men and women. I mean, for men, something can be purely sexual, and it's fine, and they can ejaculate, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. So are you saying that there's a differentiation there somehow?
Well, there's a thing for men as well. They have an ability to have internal ejaculations, which rises up their spine, up into their brain, and it's as pleasurable as ejaculating from their penis. So if a man is able to cultivate that ability, which takes an amazing amount of delicious focus and his internal power is really cultivated when a man can do that. And it's portrayed beautifully in a movie called Bliss, B-L-I-S-S, by Lance Armstrong. So I recommend that as well.
Lance Armstrong, like the same one as That's an astronaut or a biker or something.
Google bliss. And
Bliss.
Start there.
Bliss. Lance. Something.
Great.
Yeah.
It shows how the male can cultivate that inside. So when he taps into that ability and can then offer more pleasure to the woman.
You mean just because it's more protracted?
Yeah. He's.
Is this different from Tantra? I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but Tantra does the same kind of a thing, isn't? Are we talking about the same thing?
You could say this is Tantra in a way. I call it how we were meant to experience sexuality in the biggest picture. It's the potency of us co-creating as two individuals coming together with this love and this knowing who they are on the inside. Because as our sexual energy is clean and pure and it channels up into our brain, it goes into our pineal gland, which for a lot of people has been calcified too. So we want to clear it up, and that becomes our projector for our life experience. So I invite that love and that purity when a couple is together, just to so the man knows his power, the woman knows her power, and together it just takes their intimacy to a whole other level, and the ability to be more expansive, I guess, and more otherworldly and more co-creative. They can create, potent things with that kind of knowledge and internal experience.
Oh, wonderful.
And yeah.
One other thing, and I mentioned this to you when I came out at my session and we got into this other conversation. I was saying that actually the conversation after the session was more interesting because this is really juicy stuff. I think everybody likes this. And the session was wonderful, hands down, wonderful session. And I said, what is the correlation? Because the session, while it certainly was releasing energies in my body and was very healing, I didn't find was exactly this. So tell me the bridge that you had mentioned between the two.
So I see the body and all of humans as acoustic. So we're like a musical instrument. And as I'm working on you in one-on-one, it's retuning your instrument so that you sing beautifully and in harmony and in your highest acoustic range, your harmonics. And I hear it in an inaudible range, a frequency that is very high-pitched. So as your body shifts, that trauma leaves, that, we'll call it dark, heavy vibration, clears off you, it like this heightened sense, I call it like an orgasmic feeling almost. It's this deep sensuality and this deep pleasure that I feel you're experiencing. I don't think I could experience that if I wasn't active inside of myself with my own sexual potency, my heart as open, and my brain as in tune as it is. So I've been doing this like body work for 17 years now. And in the beginning it wasn't like this, although the deep love was there, but I wasn't whole inside. So now that I am, when I work one-on-one, it's a little more subtle, but it can be as potent because I invite the people I work on to lock in that feeling, remember what it feels like to feel blissful, and remember what it feels like to have the mind feel expanded and luminous. Luminosity is my business name, so it's about really, I call it the Lumu effect. So it's like your body loves you and misses you. So many people are in chronic pain. Stress has been known as the #1 killer right now, or #1 problem. So when I see someone in a painful state, and I just know that they have the power inside of themselves to not be in pain, but they've been conditioned to think that they got to live with it, or they haven't tapped into their inner power. So when I can work with them, it comes to that acoustic level. Once they start to know that they can feel good and they have that inner power to heal themselves on that deep cellular level, because our trillions of cells in each one of us, there's enough power to light up New York City in each of us. That's pretty amazing. So I like to tap into that. I want to shake people into that feeling and build it in their neural pathways, like new bundle and new sparks that go off in the brain, so they go, whoa, I can feel this good. We weren't taught that it's okay to have pleasure. We've been rewarded for pain in this culture in North America. And I am inviting people, when I work one-on-one with them and within my book and within other things I'm creating, which is a dance movement that will be out this summer, is to have pleasure and say yes to pleasure and yes to feeling fantastic and blissful. It's so yummy and so juicy, and that's where we want to co-create this new earth from. The mother wants her human children to feel fantastic, like when we are first born, generally innocent, pure love. And that's where I attempt to take people back to when I work with them.
Wow. So here we go one more time. Turning up the alchemical heat, Mahalia Michaels, and you go to MahaliaMichaels.com. Mahalia is spelled M-A-H-A-L-I-A. Mahalia, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And this is precious information. Thank you so much.
Aloha. Thank you.
Aloha. So we are wrapping up here live from Temple of Peace, Haiku, Maui, an incredible spot. And thank you so much for joining us for this interview. And until next time, aloha.
Call me crazy, but I'm never giving up my